Good morning, everyone. My name is Sumant Naik, and we, the students of Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering, Department of Management Studies, welcome Team Stone Soup. Stone Soup is a company founded by visionary working women who analyzed the issue of waste management and started working towards reducing communities' waste impact. They stepped up from being an eco-warrior to an eco-entrepreneur to create products and solutions that can help people who want to make a change. Stone Soup products include face masks, menstrual cups, cloth pads and diapers, composting kit, handmade personal care products, household cleansers, reusable bags, and home segregation kits. Stone Soup's ultimate goal is making sustainable living easy.
Hello everyone, I am Tony Sachin, and it's a great honor for me to introduce and welcome Mrs. Smita Kulkarni, co-founder of Stone Soup. Mrs. Smita Kulkarni has 14 years of work experience in GE Healthcare and National Institute of Creative Communication. She has been a part of various eco campaigns and founding member of Bangalore Eco Team as well. Welcome Smita ma'am.
Hello everyone, I am Chetan. We would be glad to introduce Mrs. Padma Subramanian, who commenced her career as PR and communication space. Currently, she works with Stone Soup, creating awareness about sustainability management in compost. Welcome Padma ma'am. Yeah, let's not delay. We shall proceed with our first question. So, could you please brief us the story behind the Stone Soup?
Okay. So I'll tell you two things. One is the what do we do and how did we start Stone Soup in the first place, and second is why the name Stone Soup. Me and my co-founder Malini Parmar, we both are IT professionals, and we had been volunteering with the neighborhood waste management program, wherein we were helping BBMP spread awareness about waste segregation. But we realized that as we worked with more and more with BBMP as well as Pollution Control Board, that even after segregation, the amount of waste reaching BBMP is so huge that even if there was no corruption and even if people segregated 100%, even then that they wouldn't be enough destinations. The amount of waste we generate is so huge, which is when we started talking to citizens and communities on how to reduce the waste that reaches BBMP in the first place. Can you deal with it in the home level itself? Can you reduce at generation point itself? And the more we started talking, we realized that more and more people are open to it. People don't mind doing the right thing. It's just that it has to be convenient for them. It has to work economically for them. So for example, if I say that, instead of half your waste is wet waste. So instead of giving it out, like we are giving out half kg of wet waste every day from every house. So instead of giving it out, why don't you compost it at home? And they would be like, okay, I don't mind giving composting a try. And how do I do that? Where do I get a composting kit from? And then we would say that go to 12th Main, Indiranagar, take a left and buy from there. Who will go out of their way to do something like that, right? So, which is when we decided, it's time that instead of just telling people to do something, we might as well provide some solutions that is easy for them to implement. They should be able to order a composting kit off Amazon, right? Or they should be able to get a natural cleaner right where they get Harpic from. So it is. If you make it available, people don't mind choosing that's why the flourishing of all organic stores, right? And people don't mind paying a little extra to get organic food, as long as it's convenient, as long as it's available in their neighborhood or online or whichever method they are comfortable with. So that is the whole aim of Stone Soup. Like you read rightfully, that making sustainable living an easy choice. You should not have to go out of your way to live sustainably, because there are very few people who will do that. So we want mass adoption of sustainable practices, which is why we want to make it easy for them. And second part is on the name itself. We would have loved to have an Indian name. We tried doing a lot of research on that, but the story behind the name Stone Soup is what we really loved. I don't know if you have heard of the folk tale, wherein a band of travelers goes village to village, and they reach one village and they're very hungry. So they knock on the door of a farmer and they ask him, can you spare us some food? So the farmer says that I only have a few potatoes. This is not enough for my family itself. How can I, spare something for you? And he doesn't give anything. Similarly, they go to the next house, and that guy also says that all I have is one cauliflower. I'm wondering how to feed my family. How can I give you? So nobody gives them any food. And what they do is they take a pot, fill water from the nearby stream, and start boiling in the middle of the road. And they add some round pebbles inside the pot. So villagers are curious and they come out and ask, what are you doing? So the travelers say that, we are making stone soup. And they're like, what is stone soup? I've never heard of it. So they says, oh, you never heard? It's very, very delicious. You just wait. After it's done, I'll share with you. So they're all waiting. And these travelers act like they're tasting the soup and they say, it needs some spices. So one of the farmers says, oh, I have some spices. He goes and gets and adds. So similarly, again they say that, oh, I wish there were some potatoes, then it would make it thick and the consistency will be good. So some farmer says, I have potatoes. And then he pours in. So slowly everyone contributes and it really becomes a soup that is delicious and it nourishes both the travelers as well as the villagers. And through stone soup, that's exactly what we aim to do. We cannot sit, the 5 or 6 of us, we cannot sit and solve the waste problem of the world. We need the contribution of the villagers. We need everyone to put in little of theirs into the soup so that it actually solves the problem, and which is why we named it stone soup.
Okay. That's an interesting story, ma'am. Interesting story. So I'll ask the second question now. Stone soup has a wide range of products. We saw it in your website. So what are the unique innovations that are being used to develop each product?
Okay. So the thing is, I'll just tell you that we have very different products on our website, and you may wonder what is the connection to, for example, a menstrual cup to a composting kit. And like I explained earlier, the connection is garbage. So all our products are, are targeted at making a zero waste home. So how to make sure every product is basically ensuring that some part of your waste does not go out of your house. So if you take a composting kit, for example, it will ensure that your wet waste does not go out of your house. If you take the menstrual cup or cloth pads, for example, they will ensure how your sanitary waste does not leave your house, or there's no sanitary waste generated in the first place. Similarly, there are cloth bags. There are some, some are like regular products, like you would say that there's no innovation in cloth bag, right? And some are kind of, there is some thought put into that. So I would like to highlight on 2 products. One specifically is the menstrual cup. So this is how a menstrual cup looks like. And a sanitary pad is something that absorbs blood and it is thrown off. So typically women use about 10 to 15 sanitary pads in one cycle. So in a year, that's 10 to 15 multiplied by 12. And a woman bleeds for 40 years of her life. So multiply by 40. And I'm sure you're all MBA students, you are very fast with your calculations. So typically a woman will consume about 6,000 to 8,000 sanitary pads in her lifetime. And there are 355 million menstruating women in India. So you can imagine the amount of waste that we are throwing off when we are using disposable sanitary pads. This is a menstrual cup and it's reusable. It does not absorb. It collects the blood and you pour out. Collect the blood and you pour out. So that's how it's reused. A cup lasts typically about 10 to 12 years. So a woman will use 3 cups in her lifetime max. I've been using the same cup for 6 years now. So it's literally zero waste. So just 3 cups, just 25 grams. So basically 75 grams of waste per woman. And even this is like rubber, right? It can be repurposed or whatever if it is melted down. But that's what, even if it's not, even if it's just thrown and dumped, imagine the amount of, waste we are saving from the landfill. So it's kind of, a huge waste saver. Plus, if you just calculate in terms of money, a woman spends about 350 rupees per a pack of pad in 1 month. And when you just do a simple calculation of across 10 years, it comes to 40 to 60,000 rupees. A cup costs about less than 1,000 rupees. So it's like 1,000 versus 40,000. So, when you're talking about period poverty and a poor woman doesn't have money to buy pad and let's donate and all those things, all those conversations just disappear, right? It's a money saver. And if you talk about health in sanitary pads, this is the color of cotton. And let me just take a notebook to show. This is the color of the pad. You can imagine the difference. This looks so much more whiter than this. And that's because bleach is added on the pad to make it look white and clean. For us, white is clean, right? So bleach is added. And then there's fragrance added. And then there is long all-night absorption, gels, dry weave cover. There is so much of chemicals in the pad. There is no pad manufacturer puts the list of chemicals. Even if you buy a juice box, it is written how much percentage of glucose, fructose, preservatives, everything that is added. But no manufacturer has ever put the kind of chemicals they put on the pad on the pack, because most of them are known carcinogens. So, this is like literally chemical free. This is silicone, which is what is used in medical industry for catheters, silicone implants, and so on and so forth. And it's a very inert, non-reactive material. So it's like what we call it as, it's rash free, it's cash free, and it's trash free. So it's like a win-win product, which kind of, it's like a superhero who comes to save the world kind of a product. So, and plus there are many cup manufacturers. There are many brands of cups available. There are many unbranded cups available as well in the market. The innovation that we have done is because specifically we've been using the cup longer than our brand has existed, and we have supported users over the period of the last 7-8 years. So we kind of know the typical pain point that women have, and that women have faced while using the cup, which is why we have modified the design to make sure that those things are overcome. Very specific things, like a typical market cup would have a stem like this. So what happens in this case is, if there's a stem, then women think that the typical role of a stem is to take out the cup. But because it's vacuum sealed, when you try to take out, it'll hurt or it'll injure. So in design, there's a concept called idiot proofing. So if there is no stem, then, even with the stem, you're supposed to pinch the base to release the airlock and take it out. If there is no stem, to take it out, you anyway end up pinching the base and releasing the airlock. So these are small things that we have just, and plus the V shape and the U shape, right? By just changing the simple shape with the same height and width parameter, we get better capacity. This is 16 ml and this is 23 ml. So if there's higher capacity, you have to empty the cup less frequently. So we have used some of these things, and plus, our packaging, this is our package. We want to make it, if you see a typical other menstrual cups, you'll see them all, not able to find the lid of this, but whatever, something like this. So if you see a typical menstrual cup, it would be like a medical product, it even has this ml written on it and it looks like some medical product. We wanted it to be like a jewelry box, right? Something that naturally people want to try. Like I was saying, we want it for mass adoption. We don't want for the few people who are like really eco-friendly and they ask for it. And plus it's available in places like Health and Glow, Nykaa, and all of these places which are not known for any eco-friendly business, right? It's not only in organic stores. Yeah. And the other thing, one more thing that I think, I don't have a sample of it right now with me, but that's a product I think you may not have heard of. It is called beeswax wrap. Have you heard of it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So it is, plastic cling film, right? The plastic cling film, you stretch and put it, either you wrap a sandwich in it, or
yes.
some vessel or something you want to cover with it. You see, sambars and all, people put that cling film to kind of not make it spill. So that is not recyclable at all. Right? That's a point. And there's one of the items included in the plastic ban that Karnataka has, plastic cling film. So there's an alternate to that called as beeswax wrap, which is basically, it looks like a cloth. It is a cloth dipped in beeswax. And when it's a little stiff than this. This is like a little fluid cloth. It's a little stiff cloth. So you can just wrap your sandwich or whatever around a roti or whatever, wrap it around like this and carry it. And when you're done, you just wash it with cold water. Beeswax, it'll act just like the cling film. It'll just be stiff enough. We can cover a dhakkan, a vessel with it, or whatever. So others, I think you're already familiar with. I don't know. You can find more information on the internet about composting, about
Yes, ma'am.
cloth pads and
Yes,
other
yes.
stuff. But these two
Just
things
a
I thought you
follow-up
would not be aware of, which is why I spent some time on it.
Yeah.
The beeswax wrap, is it transparent, ma'am? Once you dip it in the beeswax,
So we make from Cora cotton, so it looks this color only.
Okay.
It is just this dipped in that, so it's just a stiffer version of this.
Thank you, ma'am. Could you share us the procurement process of your raw materials for your product? Could you also shed some light on the supply chain part of it?
Okay. So for the menstrual cups, we're getting it, contract manufactured in Bangalore, in Pune. This is a firm that does medical equipments for several other companies in India. We had the choice of getting it made in China for much cheaper, some copy of the cup. But since we wanted to invest in the mold of our design, and also we believe in making in India, so it's coming a little expensive for us, but we choose to do it in India, and thankfully, it's paid off well so far. And the other thing is about cloth pads. So these are our cloth pads, and we're getting it stitched. We had the choice of getting it stitched from cloth factories in Tirupur and other places, but we choose to get it done from women dominated SHGs. I wouldn't say only women are stitching for us, but majority of the producer community is women for us right now, and they are in places like Dindigal, Dharwad, Mandya, Bangalore rural like Tara Hunse, and places like that, where the employment opportunities are a little less, and we believe in creating livelihood in those areas, right? There's already employment in cities. Why again go there? So we're going to tier 2 cities and rural areas, and we've been fortunate enough to get a decent quality out of them. Initially, it was a challenge there were a lot of quality rejects because it's very difficult to explain the importance of exact measurements and good finishing, right? We want it to be an international product. We don't want it to be like some excuse us for all the problems kind of a product. So which is why initially we had issues, but now we've fairly streamlined it. So everything is procured from tier 2 cities, rural areas, and we find the quality is really good, and we are able to meet the price points also.
Yes, that's a really good initiative, ma'am. Can you also please share us some of the challenges you faced during product development?
Okay. Lot of challenges. Padma, you want to say it? Tell some challenges, I'll tell some.
Product development, of course, the first one is the menstrual cup. I think Smita and Malini and Stone Soup started reselling few of the China cheapies, right? Which we get, mass manufactured in China and sold over here. Then we realized there are a lot of problems with, Smita explained what are the problems with the mass manufactured cups and how we didn't want to take the truth. And, we designed our own cups in consultation with gynecologists. So we are very proud to say that these are the cups designed by women for women, taking into consideration, we are users of the cup, and we have taken into consideration what, features that we as women will like, and, we have designed these cups. With regard to cloth pads, the biggest... I love the Ladli pad that Stone Soup has produced, especially for donation. So we initially started stitching cloth pads, which we thought looked like the sanitary pads, which very proudly we said that we'll cater to the women's needs. So this is the pads that Smita is showing are the initial pads that we produced. Then when it came to donations and stuff, we approached Rotary, and Rotary wanted pads to donate for the rural women. Now, when you're looking at pads to donate for the rural women, if we give one of the cloth pads that you just saw, then again, it is a one-time use for the rural women, right? So she can use that cloth pad for, say, 4 to 6 hours. After that, what? So which means that she has to take at least 5 of those cloth pads and then stock it with her. But none of the funders were coming to fund for about 5 of them. So we developed a very indigenous design which is called as the Ladli pad, where we said that we will have a leak proof layer and inserts which can be inserted into the cloth pad. The thing is, so in a sanitary pad, the main thing which this disposable sanitary pad has is the leak proof layer. So the leak proof layer, we gave it as an external thing which the woman can keep using. It doesn't require for her to dry it out in the sun as this thing, and you can just wipe it and keep using it through her period cycle. And what she has to change is just the insert that Smita is showing. So if you look at this insert, this is just a Cora cotton cloth which has side stitched, and when you dry it also, it looks like a hanky. So we realized in rural areas there's a lot of stigma attached over menstruation, and people don't want to put something like a cloth pad in their terrace. We insist on sun drying the cloth pads, so they don't want to hang something like the cloth pads on the terrace. So they wanted something that looks like a hanky. They'll be comfortable with something that looks like just another piece of cloth. So we developed this Ladli pad. So this Ladli pad comes with 1 leak-proof layer and 5 other inserts. So it comes for a complete menstrual cycle for a woman, right? So we were able to come up with these designs because I think we are more predominantly women talking about women issue, and second is also, with experience you understand what is the want of your target audience, and you come up with these kind of designs. The thing about even with the composters, right? So initially when we started doing awareness sessions, we all were eco warriors who were doing awareness sessions. Initially when we used to do awareness sessions, people will feel very josh at the end of the awareness sessions. They'll be like, yes, we need to do something. Let's do something. But when you don't give them the right products to make that change then and there, then it's very difficult for people to go back home, think about it, and start doing it. What we decided is we will design simple products, that we can give to the people, which they can at a very base level use at their home and do segregation and composting. Nothing very hi-fi, but very simple. But we will take these during our awareness session, so that when we give these to the people then and there, then it will help them to make that change. So we started by introducing very simple segregation kits, which is which you can keep it at home and start segregating immediately. Nothing very this thing about it, but at the same time it served the purpose. So we started with simple segregation kits and simple composting kits, which you can even keep it inside your kitchen kitchen and start composting. So this is a stackable bucket kind of composter, which has holes around it. We do aerobic composting, which is also a very simple composting methodology, and it is stackable, so that you can take care of your month's waste inside your this thing. By the time the third bin becomes the compost, your first bin is again free for you to start filling your wet waste. So that is the motto of the company, to give very simple products that is very practical to use and very affordable, to make that small change that you want to make. So I think this is how our products evolved, and slowly as we started studying our consumers and our customers, there was a lot of evolution also that happened with our products. Right now we have very good looking composting bins. We have a community composter, which also has taken into consideration if what the housekeeping staff is a woman, right? So whether she will be able to use the composter the way a woman typically can't very easily lift something over her head and drop something into the composter. So we have our composter which is at the right height, where the woman can just take it and stand and use it, and very 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 beautiful leaf composters and community garden composters we have, and of course in the space of sustainable menstruation also, our cloth pads and menstrual cups have evolved over time. So this is how the product thing started. Smita, if you want to add anything, if I have left anything out.
No, cool. So always, in this market, the one challenge that we keep fighting is the price point, right? I mean, because anything reusable, you can't compare the cost of one steel glass to one disposable glass and in an immediate time frame. A steel glass will cost 20 rupees, a disposable cup will cost 50 paise. So there'll always be that price battle. But the thing is, you have to think that this steel glass will last for forever. Do anyone, if you remember throwing your steel glasses? Nobody has ever thrown a steel glass in a dustbin, right? So this lasts forever. This will last only few minutes. So, over a period of time, you will recover the cost of the steel glass. And that is one thing. You should think of it, like I said, for the menstrual cup, it is 1,000 rupees versus 40,000 over 10 years. A cloth pad set will last for 3 to 4 years. So that is 5,000 rupees versus this 1,000 rupees. So that's how you should calculate. Then the math will work out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for your answer. Again, coming to the pricing strategy, when we were going through your website, we saw that one dishwash bar of 100 grams will cost around 80 rupees. And usually what the commercial products or a dishwash bar or a range soap, anything, commercial soaps will cost around 20 to 25 rupees. So how do you mold people mind to purchase your sustainable products like dishwash bar and even the face wash, everything?
So in short, the answer is we are not selling enough of the natural cleaners. It's not just a price point, it's also the need for it, right? Right now, if I want to buy a dishwash liquid, I will look for an established brand, and we already, because of all the severe advertising that is happening around us, we've already established, a few things like Surf and Prill and all of these, Vim and all that as established brands. And we don't see a need to change that. So just now, just before we started recording this session, you were just mentioning about the lakes of Bangalore. You must have heard of the Varthur lake frothing, the Belandur lake frothing. And we all say that, Pollution Control Board is not doing enough, or this person or industries are putting in effluents and all that. But the true part is, we are the ones who are flushing Harpics and Lysols down our toilet. And if they are frothing our lake so badly, imagine how it will be for our skin, right? I mean, there is chemicals after all. So if it is doing so much harm to the lake, it is equally harmful to our skin as well. But that need has not been established yet. We need to talk about the need for natural cleaners. So if you use the 80 rupees cleaner, for example, to clean your vessels, the water, after the water that you use to wash it off, that can be used to water your lawn or garden. It is that chemical free. So even if it drains down to the lake, it will not do any harm to the lake. In fact, the bioenzymes in it will nourish the marine life there. So similarly, if you use the natural washing machine powder, you can actually, the drain of the washing machine, you don't need to put it down in the drain. You can just use it to water your garden. So the grey water there becomes that clean. So, not only conservation of water, it's also like no chemicals into the atmosphere, right? But that need has to be established for these products to kind of take off. We are nowhere near what Hindustan Lever or P&G are selling, nowhere close to it. If they are selling 1 million Rin bars, we are selling 4. We are at that level, right? Because not the price point. It's not the price point. In Bangalore, people hardly look at the price. It is a need.
Yes.
So that means the soaps last longer, ma'am. Is it what I can infer from here?
No, the soaps last for the similar time that these things would last. And also that, we are now looking at handmade products, right? So these people are having factory settings where they are mass producing and, this thing. It's not that we can't do it, but as Smita said, there has to be a demand in the consumer side for us to this thing up the production. So till that happens, till it is handmade and made by rural women also, we can't cut in into their margins also, right? So our bioenzyme made by women in the rural areas. We have hand-made soaps and other body butter and other personal care products which are made by women, and we don't want to bring down the pricing and dig into their margins also. So these are handmade products, natural products. It will have its own pricing point. And
are you people taking any initiative that to mold the people mind to use your products, Stone Soup products, for face masks and even dishwash bars, etc.?
We are taking a lot of initiatives to mold the people's mind to think sustainably. It is not Stone Soup products. Stone Soup is a company is a result of how few of us women started thinking about waste and how we should manage our waste. So we want everyone to think on those lines, and in the process, if they are buying Stone Soup products, then we are very happy. But our aim is to change the mindset of people to think sustainably, to think about reducing waste, start thinking about using natural cleaners and personal care products.
On similar lines, what Chetan asked, could you share us some marketing strategies and campaigns what you adopted for Stone Soup?
So talks about the marketing strategy of Stone Soup. What we actually how we actually started selling our product is we built something called the Sati network. Okay, we wanted our products are a concept sell product, right? They are not off the shelf products. Like you will not buy a menstrual cup off the shelf, or you will not buy a composting kit off the shelf. Probably the change is slowly happening, but when we started, it was not like that. So we wanted people selling our products to believe in our philosophy of zero waste, and so we started associating with people whom we call as eco warriors, or like garbage sisterhood. We call ourselves garbage sisterhood. So we wanted people to believe in that concept and then take these products to the people. So we formed pan-India. We formed something called as the Sati network. Satis are women who are looking for opportunities to work, but probably and want to become an entrepreneur. So we told them that they can take our products, do awareness sessions, and sell our products. So we give very good margins for our Satis who are selling our products. So that way the pricing point also. So we are actually generating employment, generating entrepreneurs. We have a very good network of Satis all over India. So that is one marketing strategy, and also because when we are creating entrepreneurs, it's not fair for us to dig into their pockets as well. So that is one of the things that we consciously said we will work with. You want to add anything, Smita?
Yeah. Sorry. So the thing is, like she was saying, there are about 5% of the people who are like eco-friendly and who want to make a difference. For most people, actually, the eco-disaster, or what we say, that the world is going to end if we don't take care of it, seems like a very far-off thing. They don't think it's a near future thing that it's going to happen tomorrow. So, right now, I have to take care of breakfast. Right now, I have to take care of the deadline. Right now, I have to take care of the exams. World will end a little later, right? So I don't have to do anything for it right now, and that the urgency is not felt by everyone. So when we talk, we don't say switch to menstrual cup to save the waste, or do start composting to save the waste. That finds very few takers. So the way our marketing campaigns are always targeted are at what are people really looking for, what will really make them trigger and change. So for menstrual cups and the sanitary care products, what we tell them is, for example, you'll be able to swim with the cup during your periods. So that is something that really stops them, and that they take notice and really calls them out for the action. Similarly, for girls, we say that look at how colorful these cloth pads are, something that will make you period positive, and something that you can choose an owl print, a fox print, or whatever, right? Young girls, adolescent girls will really take to it. So that is what we really focus on. Similarly, for composting, we don't say that, don't give your waste to BBMP and don't add to the waste under the flyover. They don't think the waste under the flyover is their waste, right? They don't identify with that. They just say, "Ye kya hai?" So what we are saying is, why are you giving out? It's a resource. You can convert it to compost. You can grow your own vegetables. And so many WhatsApp forwards on so many pesticides and the palak grown on the gutter and all that stuff are being forwarded everywhere. So we say that if you grow your own palak, you can do it in 10 days and it will be lush, green and soft and tender. It will not be like the rigid ones that you buy from the market. Plus there will be no pesticides. Eat healthy. Take care of the food that your family is eating. So we always harp on the health and comfort part of it more than the environment part of it. Most of our marketing, if you see, it's triggered at that. Once in a while, like during Environment Day, we also put something on the environment. But apart from that, most of our marketing, we hardly talk about environment, even though that's what we stand for.
What's the impact of Stone Soup products and initiatives on society, environment, and maybe in your community? What impact Stone Soup has created?
So the thing is, we have saved, as Smita said, we have sold around 26,000, right, Smita? Sanitary menstrual hygiene products.
46,000
menstrual hygiene products that has, saved so many disposable menstrual hygiene products from going to the landfill or lying on the road. And for every composter that we sell, I think now we are doing about 20,000 kgs of waste every day in our composters, and that takes so much load off BBMP. And with our cloth bags, we have actually many people are not resorting to the single-use plastics. That we have this thing. So every product that we sell, every Stone Soup product that goes out saves that much of garbage from spilling on the road, saves that much of chemicals from not being applied onto your skin or anything. So every product that we sell has that kind of a footprint on the environment. So we are very proud about that.
Numbers we can share later, but impact is threefold. One is environment, definitely, like less waste going to landfill. That is, true for any product of ours. Less waste going to landfill. The second one is on livelihood, on creating livelihood specifically for the cloth mask, cloth pad. See, when plastic ban came into picture, I'm not sure if you've read in the newspapers, everyone kept on saying that all the people in the plastic industry, so many jobs lost, how can you ban plastic and all that stuff. But just think about it, 2 people will be able to make about 20,000 plastic bags in a single day with that machine, right? And how many women or how many tailors will it take to stitch 20,000 cloth bags? You just compare that and you will know that the amount of livelihood created by these reusable products is much higher than the number of employment that's created by these factory-made disposables. So livelihood is the second impact. And third and most important impact, according to me, is health. So if you have, if you continue to use disposable pads, you are liable for you're headed towards cervical cancer. If you are drinking the hot coffee in your plastic, you are going to get colon cancer for sure, right? I mean, we're just all, and if garbage is burnt on the road and you inhale it, all the dioxins into your lungs, it's going to be lung cancer for sure, asthma, if not. So, all the health impact of all the products is I feel, not something that we can measure in terms of number of lives saved or whatever. But it is something that we want to talk about the most, the health impact.